You wake up, you see a patch notes from Capcom. Do you either check the notes out and experiment to make sure they're legit and will affect your game plan, or do you go to Twitter and complain you're going to drop your character? If the second option is your go-to, you might be a Nerf doomer. Now, Nerf doomer is two different words. Nerf refers to weakening or lessening a certain previous state of something. Usually in games, you nerf an attack and make it just a little bit worse, or a lot a bit worse. Now, doomer is someone who's super pessimist. They believe the world's ending and civilization is gone. It looks like this guy, this guy right here. So altogether, you have basically people who get really sad and think that everything's going to end when a nerf happens to their specific character. They're the type to talk about dropping their main as if Capcom took a bat and smashed their kneecaps in. Now, there's a deeper issue than just life. A lot of people take things at face value and do very little, if at all, any research on their own. I've seen a recent example of this by a YouTuber called Critical Drinker. Now, he made an entire video hating on The Boys, and if you watch about a couple minutes in, he mentions he never even watched the show. He's hating on something he's never even watched. He watched a few reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and was like, this show's terrible. Again, to reiterate, an entire video hating on something he never even watched. None of it. Just saw clips on Twitter. It's way easier to just say, chat, I'm cooked, I'm dropping my character, the game sucks. It's much harder to try to overcome and adapt to situations that come at you. Obviously, Twitter is not a great representation of general sentiment of a game or any situation, but it's hard to avoid seeing a couple bad takes there that make you go, you know, a lot of these takes and people's considerations of the game come from just seeing something on Twitter and assuming it's fact. A funny situation actually happened a while ago in a game called League of Legends. They release patch notes quite often. We got a whole year of no patches for Street Fighter, so obviously the big patch was something we saw a large change in. However, at one point, League of Legends went through a really funny placebo effect. If you don't know what that means, it basically means believing something has changed when nothing changed at all. Here's Riot August talking about a quick situation where he actually made a patch, but they didn't implement it, but somehow everyone who played the character thought it was terrible, and everyone who played against thought they had so much confidence. The character is Vladimir from League of Legends.
And with this nerf, and everybody, all the Vladimir mains said he felt like shit to play. There's just a bunch of Vladimir players saying, like, my character's useless now, and people playing against him were like, finally, Vladimir is so fair now, and his ban rate went down, his pick rate went down, and his win rate went down. There's one thing I'm leaving out of this story. There's one thing I'm leaving out of this story. The thing I'm leaving out is that we forgot to ship the nerfs. Lamau, Riot Games, am I right? We literally forgot to put the nerfs into the game. They didn't get checked in, and so but they were still in the patch notes. And so everybody thought that Vladimir was nerfed. And his win rate literally went down, and people literally thought he was weaker, and people literally thought he was, like, bad and felt bad. It was a placebo nerf.
The reason I even bring this up is I saw recently the Zangief change happen. One small nerf happened. Standing medium kick got changed to its original state as it was quite strong. I mean, having a poke on a grappler, it's kind of insane. Zangief certainly got a large amount of changes in Season 2 and became a pretty good character. I saw discussions like this on Twitter and Reddit. People talking about how they're going to drop the character because he got nerfed. I promise if you sat any of these people down in a room and asked them what move was changed and what frames were changed, they couldn't tell you. They just saw nerf and assumed the worst. It's important to remember not every nerf is going to destroy a character. Yes, it's good to nerf, it's going to weaken the character, but that doesn't mean they're unplayable. We even saw this with a top player, Crossroad RD, which again, no hate to this player. I'm sure they were just being a doomer, and I get it. You know, your character gets nerfed, you want to doom about it, but it's funny because in this initial post, talk about all these changes, and in the comments, someone mentions that one of them isn't right, and they immediately go, yeah, I just saw a video. I didn't even try it. I just saw a video and assumed the worst. Don't get me wrong, I'm a hater. I think hating is fun, but I think also complaining on Twitter all the time about things you know very little about or have done zero research on is just really bad. It's just bad. It's not good. Top players who are affected by these nerfs will just pick better characters. You can't change the patch notes. You can't change what Capcom does. The only thing you can change is how you react to them. That's my positive input for the community. If you're gonna hate on the game or be upset about nerfs, please do your research first. I guarantee most of the time the nerf isn't as bad as you think. It's just a slight change for the quality of life of the game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't be a doomer.